the show Emboldened with Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica, and joining us is our co-host, Ariele, and our cultural chatteress, Kathleen.
Hello, how we doing today?
Okay, we're doing good because we're talking about something sensational. The good, the bad, and is anybody still dating? This is what the stats say about dating right now. For US adults, about 42% are currently unpartnered. So a large portion of adults remain in the dating ecosystem. However, of those large 42% of adults that are not partnered, not so many of them are out there actively dating. I think maybe they're open to the idea of dating, but I think we're all seeing and hearing from our friends, seeing on social media, a lot of horrific tales about dating. And so I think there's a little bit of a pause. However, even in the midst of some of the things that we're hearing, we want to get into some of the fun. Okay, because dating is supposed to be fun.
I love this. I love that we're going to take into account the bad, the good, and then we're going to ultimately end on, is anybody still doing that? And then also looking at dating from a multitude of perspectives. People always want to see it as like going out to a restaurant and getting to know somebody, but also, what about dating yourself? What about if you are already partnered up, dating your partner? So we're going to tackle a little bit of all that, but let's get into the bad just to get it out of the way.
I think everyone has some stories to mind, right? So kind of the myth around we don't save their number when we're first getting to know someone. I don't know if you all have done this. I definitely have. You don't save their number for a while because you're not sure if it deserves to be saved. And as soon as you save their number, they start acting up.
Wait, what do you save it as? So
I
you
don't. It's just their
remember
number.
their number?
I can look at the previous messages and be like, oh, yeah, this is John.
This is this person? How do you know it's John?
I don't keep a
What if
roster
you have
like I used to.
Okay, because that's what I was going to say. What if you have a roster?
I don't keep the roster like I used to. The roster used to be rostering.
In general, with people, I don't save numbers until you've made an impression on my life. So there are many numbers in my phone that have no name, no nothing.
I'm fascinated by this. I save a number right
Really?
away. If we're going to exchange messages, then the number gets saved as a contact so I know who's reaching out to me.
You know, it's so funny too, because the nicknames that your friends make for them, you'll remember that far longer than you'll remember their actual names.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, in general too, when I don't really put people's real names in my phone. Like I'm just like when I see my name come up, like if I've called somebody or text messaged them and they have my actual name, I'm like, oh, I thought we were close.
Okay, Ariele, how are we saved?
Kathleen, you're in my phone as Kathleen Bunny. And then Jessica is in my phone as Jessica Chaco.
You know, the disrespect comes for me because Jessica is such a basic name. I don't ever, ever, ever want to be Jessica 2. Oh, absolutely not. So I will ask people a lot of times, how is my name saved? I want to see it.
So my first job ever, I had this coworker. She had a different boss than I did. And one day she was making fun of said boss and said that her boss's husband was saved in her phone as his first and last name.
Interesting.
And she thought that was so, and I thought it was bizarre at the time too. I was like,
people are not creative, I guess. If I had a partner, I would not use his full name.
And
in my phone, yeah.
Well, so funny enough, my husband, his full name is in my phone, but I've had him in my phone long before we even started dating, long before we even got married. And so I just had the full contact that he sent to me. And I've never changed.
You never changed?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Question mark. No, let me stop. Okay, we're going to need you to use your creativity. We'll be checking in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
because you have lots of nicknames for him. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the bad with dating, but one of the things I think is fascinating that statistically we're seeing a shift with is that people who are dating are no longer looking as much for casual experiences. Now people are more looking for committed relationships and more committed connections. And I'm kind of fascinated by that shift. I looked at some of the stats, and it's not necessarily based around age, because to me, that makes more sense if someone's in their 40s or 50s. They might be looking for something a little bit more relationship oriented. But for folks in their 20s, I was a little bit surprised to see that that is a shift also.
I find that very interesting only because it's like I don't want to go against the stats, but being out in the wild, in the world, I've come in contact with people, granted, they are in their 30s, who are saying they don't want a committed relationship, but they don't mind hooking up with somebody. They don't mind hooking up with the same person, but they
Mhm.
don't have like anniversaries or these set things or even talk to each other daily. And that's what they want. So I find that very interesting that people are wanting committed relationships.
Yeah, and I'm curious if some of the folks that you're knowing that are looking for something casual, I'm wondering if they were folks that maybe married young or were in serious relationships previously and are kind of in that transition period.
I think for some of them, they were in serious relationships, and the relationships were hindsight kind of bad.
Mhm.
So now they just want it on their terms, and their terms are very casual.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. And I think that is one of the things that is, I always communicate that this is one of the most important things is to be pretty clear about what it is that you're looking for, because it will save you a lot of time, a lot of frustration. And I think a lot of times folks are dishonest with what they're looking for, dishonest with themselves, and sometimes dishonest with the people they're trying to date because of what it is that they're trying to achieve, which is manipulative, to not be honest about it with others, to not be honest about it with yourself just means that maybe there hasn't been some time for reflection. And knowing that being honest with yourself also includes your mind might change. You might think that you want a relationship and you might find that, you know what, this roster is kind of fun. I don't really want to commit to any of them. I want to continue to get to know the folks on the roster. I want to continue to build out the roster. And so there's not anything wrong with that. That if your mind changes, it doesn't mean you're wishy washy or you're being dishonest. You just are communicating with those that are involved. And I guess that is even controversial in terms of some people feel like you should communicate with the people that you're dating if you're dating other people. And some folks feel like it's none of their business unless they ask. I did find the statistic on the active singles and how many are seeking a committed relationship for the US. What is your guess?
62%.
Okay, so it's 64%.
Ooh,
Ariel,
look at me.
I mean impressive. So yeah, that is such a shift to me because I feel like when I was in my 20s, I feel like so many people, well, so many men, were looking for casual connections. But that gets into the race situation where this reminds me of Sierra right now from a Summer House, and how Sierra talked about how as a Black woman she felt like she at times is hypersexualized by men. So I wonder how much of that is skewed on dating sites. For people of color, we see the statistics for that, which are awful in terms of just the tokenism. And I guess this is part of the bad of dating, being fetishized. And so, yeah, I was surprised by that 64% number. One of the things mentioned earlier was about some of the manipulative tactics that some people might employ when dating. Some of these are called kind of the red pill theory. And so there are some people who look to problematic folks to figure out how they can manipulate someone, be dishonest, how they can deceive people into dating them or having sexual encounters with them or financially supporting them or emotionally draining all of the life energy out of them.
I want to get you all's opinion on this because
Hmm.
talking about the cons of dating. I'm chronically online, which is why I'm the social chatterist. And I believe for me, being more exposed to people's relationship horror stories has
Mm-hmm.
just been like, gosh, like, wow. It seems like there's like slim pickings out in the world. And
It doesn't
that is how
seem
I
there are.
learned of the term Alpine divorce,
Oh, right.
which is this term used on social media to describe where one partner intentionally abandons another partner in like a remote wilderness or hiking setting, and then that's how they
Mm-hmm.
break up with them. And typically, I've only seen
Mm-hmm.
this in cases of men doing it to women.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard of this outside of social media. Do you think the exposure to, especially when it comes to TikTok, there's greater reach in seeing different content, that has helped or has caused there to be some like dating fatigue or less
Mm-hmm.
desire for people to date?
That's a good question. So I think the stories have always existed. I agree because of social media, we have more exposure to more stories now than ever before. But I think what's really changing the desire for a lot of folks to want to date, especially women wanting to date in heterosexual relationships or gay men wanting to date, because I'm not necessarily seeing the trend so much from women that date other women, but I'm wondering, my gut instinct on this, and actually I have seen some data around it also, it's just that women, it used to be a necessity for a woman to be partnered with a man who could provide, quote unquote, and protect her. And so now that women are not having the same roadblocks to having a savings account, to obtaining housing, to obtaining a job, not that we're getting paid what men are getting paid, because we know that that's not the case yet. However, I think that because we no longer financially have to have a man, then it's allowing women to be a lot more selective than we've ever been allowed to be. And now that we're able to be selective, things like what is their emotional maturity matters. Things like if I don't want to be with this person anymore, I don't have to be worried that my entire family is going to shun me or I'm going to be unhoused. I think that that reality means that the things that women weren't allowed to overlook before, the cheating, the disrespecting a woman, the not helping out around the house, those things are now negotiable. And if you don't require those things, you don't necessarily require to be in a relationship with a man. So I hear what you're saying about the stories. I think the stories probably were way worse before when women couldn't get out of the situation. I just think that now we have more options.
I think there is probably a really good correlation to the burnout aspect of it. Like, even if you aren't a dater, but you are single and you want a partner and you are online, whether it's chronically or occasionally, you're scrolling and you're seeing these stories, or certain stories are being pushed to the forefront, and you're constantly seeing that. And it's just like, oh, well, I don't want to get left on the side of a mountain, or oh
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't want to go on a date and then the guy orders all this food and then he just leaves and then I'm left with the bill. Like, there's just these extremes are being shown. So it's, even if you aren't dating, you experience a little bit of the burnout of dating because you're seeing these stories, so you don't even want to try. And I personally definitely go in that category where it's just like, yes, I'm seeing all of this bad stuff and I don't even want to risk any of that happening to me. So you know what? I'm just not going to date.
And I think the other factor is that before, if you lived in a small town and there were three guys in the 20-year radius around your age that were single for you to date, you had to choose one of those three guys. You were not really going to be around anyone else. And now, with so many options that are available, I do think that that does lead to a little bit of a fatigue with dating. So, one of the tendencies I see with a lot of folks is when they first get on dating apps, a lot of excitement because you're getting a lot of attention and it feels really fun. And you're like, ooh, yes. And then after a while, and not some fun dates in there and some weird interactions, then that fatigue of, wow, you could almost scroll all evening for weeks, depending on where you live. And that gets to be a lot. It's a little bit of decision fatigue, but statistically, we're seeing that folks are getting tired of the apps. So, a large number of people are reporting app fatigue, and that dating is starting to feel more like work or admin, or going on a date feels like an interview where folks are asking the same questions. What is your favorite color? What are goals that you're working on the next 6 months? When's your birthday? Like, folks are kind of getting tired of that. And there's also a trend towards younger adults wanting more in person opportunities, more community centered meeting spaces to connect. And if we think about some of the young folk, the Gen Z folk, a lot of them were in their early 20s and high school during the time of the pandemic. And so not able to go out and socialize and meet in person as previous generations had the opportunity to do. I think that that also has an impact on folks feeling more comfortable, and comfortable not always being what's better for us in terms of our mental health and our wellness. We can be comfortable with a thing that's quite bad for us. I'm not saying being online is bad, but we know that being online for large periods of time, and I'm talking hours in a day, right? We know that that increases anxiety and depression. And so while folks might feel more comfortable getting on an app, I think that overall there's a desire to meet in person. Maybe there are a little anxiety about being in person. Where are in person places that don't cost a lot of money? Where might there be other young people I actually want to date? And then just the anxiety of, how do I interact? How do I date if I'm in my mid 20s and I've not really had a lot of opportunities to date? How do I do this now that I'm in person?
Yeah, I can for sure see that because so I haven't been single for 9 years, but when I was on the dating apps, I never met a single person in person.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I have a friend, she's spent a lot of time on the dating apps and has done a lot of the dates, and she just wants to get to the point. She just is like, "Let's
Hmm.
meet. We hit it off or not. I just want to see, and then we never have to talk again." She doesn't want to do the whole let's chat online. For me,
Hmm.
I wanted to chat online first to get some of those, like, what's your favorite color questions out of the way, to be like, is there something deeper we connect on? And there wasn't anything deeper we ever connected on, so I never met in person with
Fair.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that I agree with your friend who prefers to meet sooner rather than later, because I think
Mhm.
otherwise you can spend a lot of time online talking to someone or talking to someone by text, and you might cultivate an image or version of them that doesn't actually exist that you
Yeah.
are falling for. And then when you meet them, they can be totally different. Yeah. And so now
Yeah.
you've wasted all of that time on this person that you created in your mind that doesn't actually exist. So if all things are equal and the person is not too far and you're meeting in a public place, I do think go ahead and hop into that introduction to see if there's something there or not, earlier rather than later. One of the things we want to explore when we talk about cons is, how do we increase some felt safety? And so your sense of safety as you're dating someone. Some of the things that you can do to increase your actual safety, I think a lot of folks know. Like, we're not inviting this person back to our home if we're not looking for a casual interaction and we don't really know who they are. That can be very dangerous. But I'm not shaming you if the option is just to hook up and you have ways that you're going to protect yourself if the person is not who you think they are. So, one of the things we want you to consider is, can I trust this person when things become inconvenient? A lot of people can present a certain way when they're comfortable, when things are going their way. But when things are not going their way, let's say they're having car problems or things are not going well at work, how is this person showing up? If you're asking for a need to be met, how are they operating with you? So do they slow down? Are they able to notice when you're distressed? Do they work to repair when there's conflict? And are they responsive when expectations change? Those are the things that we're looking for. And really, when it comes to honestly, not just dating, but really any interaction with people, whether it's the people we work with, if it's the people we want to build a friendship with, if it's folks in our family, those are the things that we're really looking for is can I trust them when things become inconvenient? So, the good of dating. I'm going to be perfectly honest with everyone, keep it a buck. We recorded this episode already, and we spent so much time talking about the negative that myself and Kathleen felt terrible. We said we can't put out this episode with only the negative. So, yes, let us talk about the positives of dating. Okay, dating can be so much fun. It's super fun to think about what you want to wear on dates. It's super fun when people are totally into you and they just want to be around you and they want to know all about you and they surprise you. Ooh, yeah, the gifts are nice. When they surprise you with things and they're being very intentional and thoughtful.
On the other side of things, or another side of things, there is something about just meeting new people and making new connections, whether it's,
Mhm.
I don't want to say whether it's a good or a bad thing. It's just like you get to try on a different version of yourself, because there's a version of yourself with your friends and with your family, but what's that version of you when you're meeting somebody brand new? Like, how do you come off?
Mm.
What's your personality? Are you flirty?
Yeah, you do learn a lot about yourself in terms of the ways that you're showing up with the different folks that you're dating. And so that information can be really helpful, whether it's the positive things or things that are areas of growth. I once dated this consultant guy who told me what my keywords were that I'm always repeating. And I was like, oh, super helpful information. I like never thought about that. So, yeah, dating allows you to get a lot of information in terms of feedback about yourself from that person, but also just you observing how you show up, how flexible you are, like how attentive you are to the other person or not. What the difference is when you really like someone versus when it's not really someone you're feeling. It's a very different version of you that they get or that you experience. And so, yeah, a lot of good information from that part of dating.
And another side of the good and the dating and a different perspective is dating doesn't always have to be with another person. Sometimes you need to just put yourself out there and date yourself. Get to know who you are. And whether it's going out for an experience, but you're doing it because you want to do it and you might be doing it alone. It's good to date yourself.
I agree because you're going to be with you for the rest of your life. And so, one of the things that is so important is building up that self compassion. And in order to have self compassion, to care about ourselves, we do need to treat ourselves well. And part of that can be in exploring what things bring you pleasure. So, what things make you light up and they make you very excited? It could be your body could experience pleasure from things like a great book or listening to incredible music or ooh when you're shopping and the texture of an outfit that you want is just it's just sublime, high quality, well stitched. It could be a variety of things. And so begin to notice if you haven't already, but continue to notice what things really bring you that positive energy that is more than just kind of neutral or I feel okay. What makes your body feel great? Sometimes some people, their bodies feel great after a run because of the endorphins they experience. Some bodies feel really great after they've accomplished something that was a goal for them. So we're noticing what that is for you because some of the things that people might throw out, like, I mean, some people are really into like a foot massage, that may not be your thing. And so not looking to find pleasure in ways that other people find pleasure, but really examining what it is for you.
And then also not always feeling like you have to be with somebody to do something. I feel like some
Mhm.
people always like, well, they don't want to go out with me to this wine tasting, so I'm just not going to go. What's keeping you from going out on your own? Being sure that you can do stuff on your own and have a
Yeah.
good time. You enjoy your own
Mhm.
company, and that's all that matters.
I think that enjoying one's own company is something that's really, really hard for a lot of folks. And I'm curious about that for a variety of reasons why that might be. And so it's something to hold with some curiosity. And so maybe you're not someone who wants to go to like a formal restaurant and sit down by yourself. Maybe that's too much. But is there something else that you've really been wanting to do? Maybe it's going to the gym and not feeling like you have to wait for the friend to go with you. Or maybe it is there's a farmer's market you've really been wanting to check out and not feeling like I have to wait for this in order to happen. Or even going to a bar by yourself. There's so many ways to navigate those situations. And if you're putting yourself in a situation that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, then the invitation would be, can I give myself a time frame of how long I'm going to try to be there, to not go in and immediately turn around and leave? I mean, obviously, if your body is giving you like large red flags about being there, then yes, we want to listen and honor that. But can we challenge ourselves if we're safe, but we're feeling a little uncomfortable? Can we challenge ourselves to maybe stay 15 minutes or to stay 30 minutes or to sit through the entire movie, whatever it is that you're trying to do? Give yourself a bit of a challenge. And the goal doesn't have to be that while you're at that thing by yourself, that you connect with someone, because that may or may not happen. But can the goal be that I want to enjoy myself? I want to see if I can do something like this on my own. I want to stretch myself in this way. So having a goal that is obtainable. And we can't predict what other people are going to do. So that's part of the reason why we don't necessarily want to have that in the equation of if that outing was successful or not. So something to consider.
So, to continue on with the good side of dating and the different perspectives on the good side of dating, we have to talk about those people who are already partnered up. And sometimes those partnered up people, they've been in it for years, decades, and you just want to still date your partner.
I would imagine if you're choosing to be partnered, you probably do. And we know that there are a number of emboldened listeners who are partnered, and we want you to also use this episode as a way to remember that we don't want to lose ourselves in the process of being partnered, right? And so if there are certain things, let's say there's certain food that maybe you don't buy because your partner is not into it. And so you've just been wanting to have it in the house. Go ahead and do you, boo boo. Okay. Just like your partner may have some things that you don't necessarily care for. I mean, as long as that's something they're allergic to. I think it is for sure the folks get into their routines of things. And a lot of times, what I often hear from married folks is they feel like the other person knows. They should know how I feel about them. They should know that I care for them because, I do this particular thing for them. Like I go to work regularly and I don't like my job, but I do that. And so, of course, my partner knows I love them. Or I've told my partner before I love them. So, of course, they know this. And so, just a reminder that even though you're partnered and you probably have communicated your feelings at some point, that process of dating helps the relationship to stay alive. It helps for the other person to feel cared for and attended to continue to think about ways to do things that are special with no other purpose other than you all being together and enjoying each other's company and delighting in it. So I know some couples who will do a date every month or every week. I know everyone has different options, whether they have kids or affordability, but there's so many ways to do a date or something that feels a little bit more romantic, whether that's a candlelight meal or special movie night where we get all of the snacks that someone likes, or Kathleen and her husband, they do like cozy mode with their furniture when they do movie nights. So I just think there's all these sweet, fun ways to keep the relationship fresh and exciting. And a lot of times folks might be waiting for their other partner to do that. And so just an invitation that in a partnered relationship, we want both people to be making different efforts at different times to continue the romanticizing the relationship.
I would imagine it's an energy, the dating energy. You dating a person just creates a different kind of energy that is different from the routine. When you're dating somebody, like how we talked about earlier, you're going to show up a little differently.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you have to be on it. And I think that sometimes when folks have been together for a long time, it ends up maybe being anniversary that they remember, and maybe birthdays or Father's Day or a Mother's Day kind of situation. And recognizing that when you're dating someone, you want to express your care of that person outside of those kind of special occasions that are known and planned, that we're having a little spontaneity, so to speak. Yeah, it reminds me of the woman who our brother met. Was this, I think it was after he was married, and I think he was working at like a cafe, and this older woman approached him, or maybe he approached her, I can't remember, but they started having a conversation, and it came out that her husband had passed. And she had said to my brother something to the effect of, for your wife, she was asking him what he does, and he shared what he does. And the woman shared, well, without your wife, you wouldn't be able to do any of these things. And he's like, yeah, that's true. I think at the time they had one son. And so it was essentially this conversation about the beauty of being partnered and how much support we can sometimes not appreciate fully, or to verbalize or express the appreciation for. And she shared about how her husband, when he was living, would, I think, buy her flowers like once a week, and how much she loved that. And so she pretty much encouraged my brother that as a way to show his wife how much, because his wife does like flowers, to show her appreciation, to remember to always buy her flowers. And that really meant a lot to my brother. So he left, he went and bought 2 bouquets of flowers, one for the woman who was still at the cafe, and then one for his wife. And for him, that was a really helpful reminder from someone who, has lived many years being partnered, about that intentionality, to not forget the intentionality, So yeah, I'm all over the place with that story, but I think you all get.
So I honestly think we kind of have answered the question, the final question, with the theme of this episode of dating. Is anybody still doing it? I think they are. I think they're still.
I think some people are.
They're still doing it, and I think one of the main parts, I guess, leading to the yes for me at least, is that people are redefining what dating and relationships are. Whether it's them deciding to be casual, whether they want something committed, whether they want to just take some lovers, whether they want to venture off into polyamory with their relationships and dating. So I think people are still dating.
Oh yeah,
I'm not, but somebody out there is.
But Ariel, are you not dating yourself?
Ooh.
I mean, lately, no, I'm not. I'm purely not dating. I guess I'm dating my friends.
Okay, but you said we need to be dating us. Okay, in the words of one of the Backstreet Boys NSYNC people, I'm not quite sure. You need to sexify your love. You know what?
That was not. Yeah,
that was New Kids on the Block.
Yeah,
you know what? It was one of those white men. I couldn't figure out which one it was. Okay,
sexifying my love and dating are different things.
Is it though?
I think so. I guess for you, it's not.
Well, to me, it's a way of romanticizing.
We are just
That brings me to a special segment created by Ariele and myself called Dun 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 Dun. What kind of dater are you? So we want you to think about what type of dates you like to go on or to take someone on. So are you A, a coffee house slash bar dater. You're up for the let's grab a drink. The date can be low stakes in what you make of it. It could be as short as 15 minutes or it could be as long as 6 hours. This could be a catch up, a discussion, or just people watching together. Our second type of dater is a fancy restaurant slash pop up restaurant dater. This is for those who want a very exclusive experience, from the menu to the decor, the ambiance of the location. This is great for foodies and people wanting to try out the new spot in town. The conversations may center around the experience or the food. This is for those daters who your cameras might eat first. So we're taking pictures of what it is that we're eating or drinking before we are eating or drinking it. Then third, we have the Waffle House slash diner slash local restaurant. So this is our comfort dater. You know the menu, you know the folks that are working there, you know the service, and all around you, you know what to expect. This is a great date for friends or where to take people you want to get to know a little bit better. And this is great for long, in depth conversations, and you already know the refills are free. Then four, we have our bougie, boozy brunch dater. There's lots of potential for drinking, a little bit of liquid courage, and spilling the recent chisme. We could do food, we don't have to. This could be done in the early part of the day for those of us who have a roster and we have plans for later in the day. Five, we have our Dave and Buster's slash activity daters. This is for the daters who love an activity. This could be a concert, a museum, art opening, escape room, hike, scavenger hunt. This is for those who want to be outside doing something, and being on a date is just an added bonus. The kind of dater you are, it could be ever changing. You might be a different dater with a stranger than you are when you're dating yourself, or you may be a mood dater, meaning one day you're a 5 and the next you're a 2. All right, so which dater are you?
I feel like it's like a big three conversation. Like if you know your rising sign, your star sign, and your moon sign, because all of those correlate with different parts of yourself. But I think overall, when it comes to dating, I'm gonna choose the coffee house date
I knew it.
because I am skittish, and if I don't like you, I want to have an out. I need an out.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see you taking them to your spot in town because now you don't want them showing up to your spot in the future if you decide you don't like them.
And I feel like that's another part of me. If I feel an amazing connection with
Mm-hmm.
this person, with this beautiful man, then yes, we can go to my diner
Ooh, you
and
would?
he will
Wow.
pay. But yeah, so
Yes.
and that's why it goes back to that big three. Like initially, so I guess my star sign would be the coffee house. My
Okay.
moon sign would definitely be the diner. And then I think what your rising sign is. I have to look that up.
Kathleen?
Well, I am a bougie, boozy brunch dater
Yes, you are.
because
Yes, you are.
I've gotten my husband into, okay, what's the cheese bay? What's the tea?
Yeah, he's
He's
been
not
he's been giving some great tea lately.
he's not the type that he's not going to talk about someone,
Mm-mm.
but he likes to talk
Mm-hmm.
about things that are happening. And
Mm-hmm.
and now we just talk it, or we call it, our cheese may or tea catching up, and we'll go for a walk and do that, or different things like that. But then when it comes to friends, I just love it, love it, love it. I just love
Mm.
it so much. You meet with a group of friends, because this was like a perfect scenario. I've had this repeat several times, but this was the best time ever.
Ooh.
So, me and a friend, she was interviewing for a job. She found out she got it. I was interviewing for
Oh,
a job.
nice.
I found out I didn't get it. So we were meeting to celebrate her and then also for me to be like, So I met with her at this restaurant and
Ariel knows
she,
the one.
yeah, Ariel knows the one. So she was there early. She had already ordered my drink of choice.
I love that.
She already had my appetizers of choice on the table.
Excellent.
And so when I sat down, she was like, here's the drink. And then I was also like, I also have some tea that is not related to this. And it was just so good with the drinks and the tea. I just love it.
What kind of dater are you, Jessica?
Well, y'all already know, okay? Actually, I'm not really into fancy restaurants. Not so much, but I would say I'm more a bougie, boozy brunch dater. Although the one time I went on a brunch date with a man, I did run into someone who was wanting to see that person. So that was awkward. So I don't know that I want to do that again for a date. But I love a bougie, boozy brunch. But I also don't really like drinking with people that I'm dating, especially when I'm first dating them. I need to have all my wits about me, okay? Because I am studying all of the micro movements, all of the body language. I'm taking notes. So for a date, oh, that's so hard. Ugh, I guess I would do coffee. I think I would do coffee.
I'm with Ariel though. It's like the sun, moon, and rising because I also am an activity dater as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good date. If there's an art opening, a theater, an actual light hike, things like that are fun to me.
Yeah, those things can be a lots of fun. I'm trying to think. I don't feel like I've been on a lot of dates with an activity. I guess I have been to some. I guess it depends, right? Because if it's someone I really, really like, I wouldn't mind being at a museum or art opening with them because then there's a lot of time to like hang out and all of that. But on a first date, I don't know if I'm going to like them or not. And honestly, sometimes on the second date, I'm not sure. The first date, I feel like generally I'll know after the first date if I like someone. But if I've gone on a second date, I'm still vetting. So I think I would really need to know them quite well to want to do an activity with them.
I'm open. I just with activity dates and with dates in general, you just see a different side of a person. Like you're not gonna
Mm.
always, hopefully not, you're not gonna always see that person in an escape room
Hmm.
and see them outside of that. But it'll also give me like some insight, like, oh, they get angry or oh, they do not listen to
Hmm.
anybody else when we're trying to figure out a
Oh.
scenario. So
Uh-huh.
it can give you some insight, but I feel like I would need to be dating somebody for a while for us to do an activity date. Maybe. Unless I really want to see like this art exhibit. I don't
That's
know.
true. Or unless they're a friend and, it turns into more or you're hanging out as a
Yeah.
group. So that brings us to Jessica's Cozy Book Nook. This episode's recommendation is After the Rain, Gentle Reminders for Healing, Courage, and Self-Love by Alexandra L. This is an amazing book. It's well written and it's great for singles, partnered people. It's filled with a variety of meditations at the end of each chapters. And so this is things that folks can examine on their own time around acceptance, around self-love, self-forgiveness. So I highly, highly recommend this book if you are in the season of dating self, if you're in a season of doing a little bit of introspection, and you're in the season of dating. So I hope that this conversation on dating helps you to either have a little bit of fun, to reflect on ways you might want to date yourself, date a partner, or maybe take a pause from dating. Are you enjoying the show? I have a feeling that's an overwhelming yes. We can use your support. to keep this space growing and thriving, here's how you can help. Share this episode with a loved one who you know is going to enjoy it. Sharing helps spread the word and brings more amazing people into our beautiful community. If you haven't already, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews help others find the show and lets them know this is a space worth tuning into. If you can't support the podcast financially, consider donating through DonorBox. Every contribution helps cover the cost of producing the show and keeps the episodes commercial-free. You can find the link to donate in the show notes. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. Your ongoing support, your feedback, your encouragement, it means the world. We couldn't do this without you. Until next time, stay emboldened.